Welcome back. We're ready to get into the meat of the game of Dungeons 3 in our first real strategy mission. Now, the previous mission, we got to be introduced to Talia and the narrator, both of which are going to be our primary characters on the side of evil. With that, we're now going to see what happens when we build a dungeon.
Twistrum looked like the leftovers from a heavy metal concert.
What? What have I done? Oh no! I've fallen to evil again.
Oh
Father
dear.
will be beside himself. He was right when he said, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Which is a good thing in this game.
In a way, it was fun to be evil. Burning things, pillaging, and showing those nasty goody two-shoes where the hammer hangs. They just look down at me anyway. My revenge will be terrible.
It always
While
bugs me
Talia
she just
was
walks through
delivering a
those
typical
grates.
villainous monologue, something happened around her. From the depths arose a pulsating crystal, filled with the magic-savvy evil's power. A dungeon heart. Not to be confused with those dungeon hearts from other games. We don't want to be sued. Again.
Hello, greetings. What seems to be your boggle?
Secret mental messages were exchanged between Talia and the mentally savvy evil's crystal. We could explain this in detail at this point, but that would require a 3-hour monologue on my part, and I am definitely not being paid enough for that.
Right then. I will make these people suffer for mocking me. Father's henchmen never liked me anyway, and always insulted me, calling me pointy-eared. It's time for my well-deserved revenge!
Revenge! Alright.
The game logic internalizing evil had given Talia an assignment. Out there on the surface were shamelessly good places in urgent need of destruction.
Nah, no problem. I'll take care of it. I and an evil army.
Naturally, the strategically well-versed evil did not send its new general into battle alone. A dungeon had to be built, and creatures hired to provide her with a powerful army. Of course, the sophisticatedly thinking evil already knew which way the wind blew in a dungeon. However, should it be hit by short-term memory loss, it could effortlessly look up things in the fabulous almanac.
Okay, so if you're not familiar with this type of game, it's not an incredibly diverse genre. What we do is we carve out a dungeon. In this particular one, we're going to be going between two maps, the underworld and the overworld here, and we'll be completing missions. Typically in this genre, a dungeon is carved out, the missions occur
The grandiose
in the
evil's
dungeon.
helpers had not been idle. Well, they hadn't exhausted themselves either, but anyway, there were now some research projects the researching evil could pursue. The new improved research menu, TM, was now available.
Yep, and
The
you've
new
already seen the
improved
research menu.
Research menu, TM, opened and gave an overview of currently available technologies. At the moment, the selection was still limited, but that would change. After all, this evil crusade had only just begun.
But you would do all of your missions underground, kind of direct them through exactly what I'm doing now. Units may or may not be controlled directly. In this one, while underground, you don't control your units directly, but you can pick them up and drop them. But once they get overground, it's going to work very much like the StarCraft and Warcraft games. You'll have groups. You'll be able to move them around at will. What I'm doing now is I am building a room to house beds for my orcs and my trolls. Or not trolls, goblins. They look like trolls for some reason. Now, with that, monsters have needs. You could hire these creatures without regard to building a room. But they'll get unhappy pretty fast, and they'll ultimately go on strike. Because apparently monsters unionize. And as you can see, I'm carving out... Well, let's go ahead and expand that. Carving this out. I won't have access to traps this mission, but I could build traps in future missions, because as heroes come down to the dungeons, we'll want to deal with them. I'm not particularly great at this game, but it is a lot of fun to play. Alright, so now that we have our troops, we need to get up there and get evilness, because the world is too gosh darn
Your
good.
little snots have dug out a room.
Alright, so here we are.
What can I do for you?
And you'll see symbols on the maps. There aren't a lot of hotkeys to direct them to different actions. Typically they'll have
Blinding
fighting,
beams
and
of
then,
light met
as
the
you can see, no
dauntless
hotkey
evil
for the
creatures.
firebomb.
They briefly squinted at the disgusting brightness. Finally, they grinned, satisfied. At last, they were able to carry the battle to the good people, and were not limited to protecting themselves in a dungeon, as is the case with other representatives of the genre.
Follow me, sons of Rohan.
Oh, and I should be
Honest
killing the
Evil was
healer.
one of those disgustingly good places that had survived the destruction of Twistram. The ice-cold hand, evil, would deal with it immediately.
I knew you'd need me.
Now the goblins have a unique ability in their current form, and they will get a different form later. They are ultimately ignored by the enemies, while there are other types of enemies out here. I really should be dealing with the healers, but I wanted to get rid of some of those higher damage dealing fighters first. So this area, you can see there's a icon on the mini-map in the bottom left-hand corner. It is a place of good, and we must corrupt it to gain evilness.
The little town of Good was destroyed and turned into a hotbed of evilness. Cracks formed on the surface, and something, guess, evil rose from the depths. This evilness, in a practical spherical form, was the sweet lifeblood which flowed through the personified evil's veins. It stimulated the armies of evil and swelled their power. All this lofty blah blah without any impact on the game aside, it was another resource primarily or exclusively used for more powerful research. Delicious evilness flowed into the dungeon heart and filled it with power. New research was thus made available, which would help the dungeon to even greater power. The impatient evil immediately began to research something.
And that is exactly right. It's just a way to research. You need to be producing evil, and typically there's at least 3 sources of good on the map that can be corrupted.
The deeds of the conspicuous evil and its henchmen had not gone unnoticed. As a matter of fact, even a blind man could see the destruction they left behind them. As idiotic heroes do, they sent out a small patrol to scout the area.
Move out, men. Have a look around and report back to me. While I would love to accompany you myself, I'm currently, teaching myself to play the ukulele.
We really should expand our treasure room. Build the treasure rooms so that I have a place to store gold. And I'll be building a gobbler farm, because another need of our monsters is ultimately food. Well, they'll eventually need beverages in the form of beer. Now there are room efficiencies. Treasure rooms don't have room efficiencies. They simply hold gold per tile. But this gobbler farm is only going to hold so many things, and you can see it's only at 40% efficiency. Let's see if I can improve the efficiency.
By the goddess of light, what happened here? The whole city is in ruins. I drank a beer right over there just yesterday.
Still at 40. But as you can see up here in this room, monster beds
the dungeon.
Hey,
take
where
certain
does this lead? We should take a
squares,
closer look.
The first
and you want to make
heroes
sure
had
that you build
discovered
your
the not
forces
so
like
well
that.
hidden evil's dungeon and now entered its depths. Of course, the insidious evil had already prepared a despicable reception for them.
Even if that's not the case, I will kill these ridiculous do-gooders myself. They will pay for mocking me over the years. Wait a minute. What am I saying? These are my friends. How can I plan their deaths?
Talia had
Quite
chosen
easily.
an extremely unfavorable time for moral doubts. Luckily, her evil dark elf heritage prevailed. Hey, Talia, you're evil, so act like it.
What? Oh, yeah. Okay. Kill them all!
Alright, let's go ahead and increase Talia.
The Queen of Evil!
Now we're gonna want some Nagas in this heal. And normally you do want to leave a reserve. I think for the time being though. Oh, and you can see we have 2 unhappy Horde members.
It's payday.
Ah, yes, gold, the other resource that they'll need. Oh, hold on. Why didn't I? Let's go ahead and drop you. I need that removed ASAP. So let's go ahead and extend our gobbler farm. Because, well, they're hungry. It doesn't do us any good. Okay, they'll also use their beds to heal on their own, but the Naga healing is better. I like the Naga healing. Alright, with our army fed and rested, we go back out. And this time we're going to go attack one of the settlements that the enemy will spawn from. We could go back here and get this Book of Life for Generation.
Written good must die.
What's going on? Okay.
God, hey!
Typically, for the enemies that build those small little turrets, it is enough to firebomb them.
Ouch! Ouch!
Oh, there we go.
Ha! Showed him.
And you can see our Nagas are healing quite nicely up there. I'm used to having spells to cast at the enemy, but for now, this first mission, you just click and watch them kill. And you can see that as we take care of those human encampments, or in this case, Alliance encampments, because they have dwarves and elves and such. That the ground withers before them.
Oh, hey!
You know, with these Nagas
The
out,
second
we
island
can...
of the good was mercilessly overrun by the strategically savvy evil's hordes and turned into an evil island. Soon, more of that exquisite evilness would be bubbling to the surface. Excellent. Even better than in Dungeons 2. Not that I'm out to plug it or its fantastic add-on or anything. I'd never do that. With the healers out,
Armies of evil here?
we can
Damn it
afford to
all,
take
how
a
did
little
that
bit more
happen?
damage. Oh,
Time
we
to
missed a
call out
book.
the heavy guns. Right, men, get ready to attack in waves.
Excuse me, sir. Wouldn't it make more sense if we attacked all at once?
Where's the fun in that? Wave after wave, that's a strategy for real men.
Thanks to the enemy's limited tactical finesse, their destruction was virtually unavoidable. So it was time to decorate for the victory celebration, to get the beer and hire the orc dancers. Okay, maybe not orcs. I shudder at the thought.
They're gonna be child's play. Leave them to me. I mean, hold them back and let them hit you while I deal with them. Ow!
Oh, and there they go.
Bye-bye, baby.
Alright. We need to increase that room.
Oh no, the studio burned down. And I was going to come here tonight for Pilates.
Okay. So I do have a reception for them.
Enemies have
And
entered
I hope
the
that
dungeon.
that will be enough. Ah!
Ow!
Alright.
It's payday.
Ah. Let's summon the shadows and cast a fireball.
Sure showed him. The good camp has been destroyed. Victory is ours. Evil is victorious. Ha! Good thing I switched sides.
And so it was that the good camp was destroyed by the battle-wise evil's army. Now it was time to take over all of the good islands. That would be a cakewalk. Easy as stealing candy from a baby. Candy from a baby? Simple. My ass. Ever tried it? The screaming and crying and fetching their parents and family as reinforcements, and those little beasts bite pretty damn hard. Not that I have any personal experience, of course.
The ultimate, chaotic, absolute, whatever evil will be happy. I am. Father is gonna be so angry. Do you really know what you're doing? You wanted to be good. You had dedicated yourself to the light. Stop and really think about your deeds.
Can you please just stop with the golem thing? We already had too many Lord of the Rings gags in the last 2 games. Enough is enough.
Yeah, exactly. Just shut it, good me.
Talia
Okay.
and the destructive Evil's army had succeeded in destroying Twistrum and the surrounding area. Good no longer existed in this land.
Oi! What the hell happened here?
Apparently, not quite all of the good guys were defeated. The Dwarven King Grimly, an old drinking buddy of Tanos the Paladin, was just touring the country with his exorbitantly large army to ensure everything was in order. Thank God, the foresighted Evil had provided for this contingency. The dungeon heart was charged with evilness and enough energy to act as a teleporter. For Talia, of course.
Ooh, good. Then all the best, brave warriors, and stop them! Right! I'm out of here.
With a plop, Talia dissipated and disappeared to a faraway and safe place. The rest of the sacrificing Evil's creatures looked astonished as their general fled, but only for a moment, as they already found themselves facing an unpleasant army of good.
This is the work of that damn pointy-eared wench. I always warned Tanos that those miserable dark elves couldn't be trusted. Criminals, the lot of them. But enough is enough. I'm going to find that shifty witch and use her ears as bookmarks.
There we go. So that is our first real mission. You saw we had a lot to go over. We continue unlocking spells, new researches, new rooms, traps, and of course new creatures. So I think I'll do at least one more of this. If you are liking it, let me know. Subscribe, comment, give it a thumbs up, and we'll make sure to keep this going alongside our regalia. If not, we may not finish this. We may, because I do enjoy the game. In the meantime, I am Ndonosci. As always, have fun.